the Buffalo Symposium of America and Europe will be held in Paraguay on November, in presence, finally. Next year, in Wuhan, China, the World Buffalo Congress will be held in presence, we hope. The fourth focal activity of the Federation is the organizing of courses, training courses, theoretical and practical. And before COVID, we held courses on buffalo management and industry every 2 years with great success and high participation. Therefore, during COVID pandemic time, we decided to organize a cycle of courses in webinar with the title Buffalo Farming on Air, from farm to fork. The first one of today dedicated to calf management. We received for this webinar 210 inscriptions from 30 countries. My best wishes and thanks to the teachers and to the listeners. Goodbye.
Thank you, Professor Borghese. And now I would ask Dr. Salvatore Claps, that is the director of this research center that are hosting this webinar, to give his welcome.
Yes. Good morning, and welcome to everyone at the Council for Agricultural Research and Economics, and in particular in the Research Center for Animal Production and Aquaculture. The general mission of this center research regarding to improvement of genetics program and developing innovation in the field of animal products and control of their alteration, as well as plant technology for optimization of livestock farming. The center carried out activity on conservation of animal biodiversity and also in genetic improvement for of fodder and protein species for animal nutrition. In the general the research center of animal production is organized in 4 sub-centers. One sub-center in Lodi, in the north of Italy, and the main topic of research regarding the cheese, their products, and also the study improvement of legumes and for animal nutrition and also for human nutrition. One of others in the center, in the north of Italy, sub-center is localized in Modena, and the main topic research regarding the pig production. And in the center of Italy, Rome, Monteiro, with big farms with the main research regarding the buffalo and beef and milk production of cow, and also conservation of Lipizzaner horse. And in the South Italy, the sub-center regarding the goat and sheep production, and regarding the study of grazing system and the typical products of animal or small ruminants. And many thanks to Prof. Borghese, Antonio Borghese, the past director of Research Center and my teacher in this, and also many thanks to colleagues Antonella Chiarotti and Vittoria Barile. And in conclusion, I wish you a good workshop and I follow you. Thank you very much and welcome to Research Center. Thank you.
Okay, we are talking about the composition of colostrum, and I will talk you quickly about the characteristics. Immunoglobulins are the most important and at the same time delicate component of colostrum for their thermosensitivity and for their short half-life in the mammary gland. Cytokines provide to help the development of a newborn's immune system, and the white line cells, such as macrophages, neutrophils, and lymphocytes, increase the local defense capacity on the intestinal mucosa. Within the first hours of life, it is essential to give colostrum for its nutritional function above all, and because it's able to transfer passively the maternal antibody kit. Unfortunately, the useful time to give colostrum is only 6 hours, because during the time, its composition change. We have transformation from colostrum to milk, and also because the calves tends to reduce its capacity to absorb big cells as immunoglobulins. So to have an effective colostrum absorption, is necessary to have a strict program of activities to evaluate at first the quality of colostrum and then how to use it in a strategic way. By Vittoria.
We see the slides. I think that Maria dato da.
Io non ancora.
We are on the 6.
Okay. Però posso
Sì,
provare.
E l'hai qua, o ti apri il tuo file da
apro la mia, sì, tranquillamente. Ok. There are 4 elements to have always present about the good assumption of colostrum, and are hygiene, quantity, quality, and timing of colostrum distribution. About hygiene, is important to have a clean colostrum, and it's possible to have if we milk colostrum by clean udder. If it's necessary, colostrum can be filtered, and if are present impurities. It's important to store it in clean containers and must be refrigerated or frozen if we want to create a colostrum bank. About quality, the quality of colostrum is expressed by the immunoglobulinic concentration as grams in liters, and depend from the age of the mother's state of health. Is also very important the dry condition and the nutrition of the mother, in particular about the intake of vitamins A, D, E, and depends from the vaccination of the mother. About quantity, is necessary for the first time to give colostrum around 10% of body weight of calf, and in total is possible to give 6 kilograms in more meals. And it's very important timing. It's necessary to give colostrum within 4-6 hours after birth. For example, 2-3 kilograms after birth and other 2 after 12 hours. Vittoria, puoi procedere.
Sì, sì.
Grazie.
Sì, siamo sulla colostrum quality.
Okay. The colostrum quality can be evaluated, can be assessed using simple but very effective tools as a refractometer with a Briggs scale. A refractometer can measure the total solids present in a liquid by the refraction of light, and is possible in this way evaluate the quality of colostrum. It's very easy to use. It's just necessary to put a drop of colostrum on the refractometer, and after a few seconds, it's possible to read the Briggs scale and to understand the value of colostrum. The value is indicated by the line between the white area and blue area. And it's possible to know in this way the quality using a simple, we have a scheme, a small scheme below, in which we indicate the Briggs and the immunoglobulins concentration. So in this way, you can score colostrum as poor, fair, good, very good.
Okay.
Vittoria, puoi procedere?
Sì, sì. Sto sulla 8.
Okay. Another important factor of success of colostrum assimilation is the timing of milking of the mother after the birth and the distribution of colostrum. The ability of calf's intestine to absorb immunoglobulins decreases over the time. So to have the full transition of antibody, the colostrum must be given within 6 hours from the birth. The picture below shows how the colostrum change, how the composition of colostrum change over the time. If it's not milking immediately, the mother reabsorbs the immunoglobulins at a 4% rate per hour. So after 6 hours, the immunoglobulins of colostrum not milked yet decrease by 24%. For this reason, it is recommended not to wait milking time, but milk mother separately as soon as possible.
Okay.
Okay.
Sì.
The colostrum is also important for caloric intake because the high level of fat allows the calf to preserve the body temperature and how to survive. In fact, very often, the mortality in the first 24 hours is connected to the immaturity of the body thermoregulation system. It's also important for the effect that a good absorption of immunoglobulins have on the health conditions and on the future production level of the calf. In fact, we can have protection from diarrhea, lower incidence of digestive and respiratory disorders, greater feeding efficiency before and after weaning, with higher daily growth increases, and a higher production of milk during the first and second lactation. Andiamo avanti?
Sì. Puoi andare.
Okay. About the colostrum distribution, the colostrum, just milk, refrigerated or frozen, must be given to a temperature between 37-38 degrees, and using nipple or bottle or bucket, or in some case, in a particular case, it's possible to use an esophagus tube. But it's better to use this tool only when the calf doesn't want to suck, maybe because it's too weak to do it. To have always available enough quantity of good colostrum could be useful to create a colostrum bank, selecting and freezing colostrum from healthy animals, preferring multiparous, and better if the mother had vaccinated against the main pathogens as coliforms, Clostridia, and Salmonella. We have to remember that the frozen colostrum have a 6-8 month of shelf life, and is necessary to defrost colostrum slowly using water bath method with the temperature under 50 degrees to avoid that the hot not damage it.
Okay.
Okay. About feeding, the good growth of cows is possible with diets that are able to satisfy the nutritional needs by the use of liquid and solid food characterized by a high qualitative profile and follow weaning protocols that help to have a gradual transition from the milking feed to the solid feeding. So it's important to make available to cows clean water for the first day of life, high quality milk, and high quality solid food with a high level of energy and digestibility.
Okay.
Okay. To have a height weight gain and improve the harmonic, skeletal, and muscular development of cows is necessary to cover the nutritional needs, above all in terms of energy and protein. In the tabs below, you can see the needs about, in particular, about energetic and protein needs. And I also reported the body weight of the cows and the daily weight gain and the level of energy and protein. As you can see in the first phase, the energy needs are very high, and the intake of dry matter is quite low. We have to remember that nutritional needs of support are around 50 kilocalories for 1 kilo of body weight. And in buffalo cows, to have an increase of 1 kilogram of body weight, we need around 3,000 kilocalories as supplement surplus. We have also to know that buffalo calves have a later development than calf and is less inclined to leave the milk feeding. Okay. In this picture, we have the growing goals in buffalo calves and heifers from birth to conception. As you can see, we have a body weight, a target about body weight, and how is possible to obtain this body weight, and is connected with the age expressed in a month, and how is possible to have this target of growing with a daily weight gain that is quite common to find in buffalo farms of south of Italy, with a daily weight gain of 0.6, 0.7. It's possible to have a body weight in kilograms around 19 kilograms, and at around 3 months of age. Puberty is possible to have around 10, 12 months of age, and conception around 18, 20 months of age with kilograms. Andiamo avanti.
Andiamo avanti.
Sì. Okay. After colostrum, the calf is ready to intake milk. That is the main source of nutrition in the first phase of life. If we decide to use milk powder, it's important to choose a type composed by a high percentage of skimmed milk with a high level of solubility, protein, and fat, because by the values of these parameters will depend the growth rate of the animals. So if we prefer to use milk powder, it's important to choose at least a milk with a skimmed milk at least around 65%, and high level of protein around 25%, and a high level of fat. It's also important the presence of essential amino acids as methionine, cysteine, lysine, which become part of the composition of proteins. And it's also very important the amount of vitamins of B group, vitamin C, choline, and probiotics that are useful to maintain the balance of the intestinal flora and is able to prevent gastrointestinal disorders. It's also very important the level of solubility and digestibility that depends from the technology with which is made milk. Spirization, for example, is a good technique to have a high level of solubility.
Ok, sì, puoi andare.
In the picture, we have an example of milk. Is a milk powder label. And as you can see, we have the analytic composition and the I've reported also the additives. What is important for buffalo?
Maria,
sì?
mi sono persa tu la vedi, scusa Anna, Chiara? Mi sono persa la condivisione, scusa un attimo. Secondo me c'è qualcuno che mette le mani. Sto alla diapositiva 15, giusto Maria?
Sì.
Ok, puoi riprendere perché non si era vista, era scomparsa.
Ok, va bene. Okay, in the picture, we have an example of milk powder label. And as you can see on the left, we have the analytic components. So you can see how good level, high level of protein and high level of fat. And we also have amino acids like lysine, methionine, and cysteine. On the right, we have the additives, and it's important to know for buffalo cows, it's important to pay attention about the vitamin of B group. In particular, as you can see, the level of vitamin B1 is quite high, and we prefer to use milk with level of B1 more than 10 milligrams, because high level of B1 can be useful to prevent a particular disease that is known as PEM, polyencephalomalacia, that is a disease of encephalus for deficiency of B1. So it's very important in buffalo cows have a very high level of B1. Andiamo avanti?
Sì. Vai.
Okay. In this picture, it's possible to see the composition of different milk. On the left, we have buffalo milk, maternal milk, cow milk, and buffalo milk replacer. When we use in a concentration of 18% of the dry matter. This means that is to create 1 liter of milk replacer is necessary to put 180 grams of powder. What we can see is the great difference between the energy level of the different milk. In fact, in buffalo milk, the kilocalories are very high, and this depends from the height level of fat. The fat is around 8% and is the double if we compare with the buffalo milk replacer. We have a difference in protein with cow milk, and we have also a great difference if we see the percentage of lactose. This means that with the same volume, we are far from the energy value of maternal milk. We have a great shift from lipid to carbohydrates in case of buffalo milk replacer. So it's necessary to associate every energetic solid food to satisfy the energetic needs of buffalo cows. Andiamo avanti?
Sì.
Okay, about the preparation and distribution of milk, it's important that milk is important to give milk to at right temperatures between 38 and 39 degrees to promote a correct closure of the esophageal shower and prevent that milk enter in the rumen, and causing this way a ruminitis, that is an inflammation of the ruminal papillae, not yet perfectly developed. The milk must be prepared respecting the indicated concentration and mixing temperature, warm water at 42-45 degrees, and taking care to mix the product well to avoid the formation of lumps that are responsible of the gastrointestinal disorder. Generally, in buffalo farms, the concentration of milk powder is around 18%, and farmers used to give 4-6 liters of milk milk replacer for days.
Qualcuno che prende il controllo. Scusa Maria,
sì.
C'è qualcuno che prende il controllo e vabbè, andiamo avanti così e poi devo sistemare l'impostazione. Eravamo arrivati alla distribuzione, giusto?
Può essere...
Preparazione e distribuzione?
Sì, possiamo andare avanti. Sì.
Salto questa? No, quella dove stanno i secchi, i bufalotti con i secchi, la 18.
Sì, perfetto. Procedo?
Sì, sì.
Okay. The teeth must be checked periodically to verify its perfect integrity and that it works correctly. Thanks to the ingestion of milk in small sips, are created many small cards, renin and casein digestion in the abomasum, and there is a greater production saliva that, rich in thiolin, regulates the abomasal pH and promotes food digestion. Io vado avanti.
Sì, scusa, 19, giusto?
Sì.
Le 19, vero?
Sì.
Vai.
Okay. From a weight at birth around 40 kilograms, the buffalo calf doubled its weight at the end of weaning, that is around 80-90 days. At this age, the daily consumption of solid food, generally starter, for calf should be around 2 kilograms. Otherwise, it's probably to have a reduced growing during the next 3 weeks after weaning. And if the calf does not reach this standard, it's better to postpone weaning until the daily feed intake is reached. Therefore, it is advisable to provide fresh, clean water and pelleted starter from the first day of life. This is essential as after weaning, the calf must be completely independent of the milk diet. More the rumen is developed, less will be the post-weaning weight loss. Andiamo avanti.
Stiamo alla 20?
Sì.
No, lo farei uguale. È uguale. L'ho fatto anche prima. Stiamo alla 20, Maria, puoi andare.
Okay. The rumen can develop better in presence of starches contained in grains that are the main promoters of ruminal papilla increase, that are structures used to absorb nutrients. Ruminal papillae can grow in presence of high quantities of volatile fatty acids as propionic and butyric acid. For this reason, it's useful to give to calves small quantities of grains with high level of energy already at second week of age. It's possible also to give high quality high, but no more than 50% in the ration at the 30 days of life. So it's better to postpone the available of hay because hay is important. Important for the rumen development, but can create an inflammation of rumen if we give it in too early. It's also important to use high energy food as a pelleted starter. And it's better if it's possible to have solid particles with the dimension superior of 2 centimeters, because in this way it's possible to have a mechanical action and a scratch effect. So it's better to prefer started with a visible element with a high level of energy and high digestible to improve the growth of rumen papillae.
Okay.
In this picture, we have an example of a pelleted starter for buffalo calves, and how is possible to see. I know that is in Italian, but we have in the composition of this starter corn flaked, soy flaked, carob pods, meat pulp, and cotton seeds. These are all very high energy food and are also characterized by different dimensions.
Vado avanti?
Sì.
Ecco.
This is a scheme of weaning that is possible to find in buffalo farm in the south of Italy. As you can see, the concentration of milk powdered is around 80%, and we have the association with a starter. The body weight increase are calculated considering energetic inputs from a 60% skimmed milk with 24% of protein and 23% of fat, a pelleted starter with around 60% of protein and 5% of fat, and a high quality hay. And as you can see, it's better to allow hay or other forage at 4-5 weeks of age and not before, because it's very fibrous and for young animals. And in a rumen that is not enough developed, the hay could be hard to digest and to be poorly energetic. As you can see, the daily weight gain that are around 0.5 and medium 0.5, 0.6. With this daily weight gain is possible around around 19 days of age to have a body weight that is around 18, 19. That is a good goal of growing for buffalo milks, buffalo calves.
Era l'ultima?
Io ho finito.
Sì.
Sì.
Thank you, Maria. I'm sorry for this inconvenience. We will do better next time. Now I'm just tell you that the discussion. So if you have some question, we will we will collect the question. If you want, you can write the question in the chat. Anyway, we will leave sometimes at the end of the today presentation for the answer for the question and answer. Now I will introduce you the next speakers and regarding health and pathology, Professor Rinaldo Viana and Professor Bruno Moura Monteiro from the Universidade Federal Rural de Amazônia in Brazil. Professor Bruno Monteiro is graduated in veterinary medicine, has a specialization in beef cattle and a master's degree in veterinary science. He has a PhD and post-doc in animal reproduction, and at the present, he is a professor of morphophysiology and animal reproduction at the Institute of Animal Health and Production at the Federal Rural University of Amazonia, Brazil. And he has experience in the health and reproduction of cattle and buffalo. Professor Rinaldo Battista Viana is a veterinarian specialized in the university teaching methodology. Is a professor at the Institute of Animal Health and Production at the Federal Rural University of Amazonia, leader of the Livestock Health and Reproduction Research Group at the same university, and as expertise in the area of pediatrics with emphasis on ruminant health and reproduction of cattle and buffalo. I give you the floor. I don't know if I think the first speaker will be Professor Rinaldo Viana. It's right.
Hello, Vittoria.
Hello,
everybody.
Hello,
Saluti a tutti. We will talk both, but mainly I will talk with you. Professor Rinaldo can talk something, but I will talk in English, and he will talk if you are necessary.
Okay, the floor is yours.
Hi, hello, Vittoria.
Hello.
Good morning. Buongiorno.
Buongiorno.
Grazie mille.
Grazie a voi. Thank you for your presentation, to be here. It's a pleasure for us.
Thank you. So we can begin.
Yes.
Yes. This is the picture of the city of Professor Rinaldo. This is in other states in Brazil. Here we live in Pará now, but this is the city of he was born.
Mhm.
So first of all, we would like to thank you IBF and CREA in the name of Victoria, in the name of our great friend Domenico Vecchio. And thank you for remember our names to talk in this appointment that we will talk about the health and pathologies of buffalo cow. So I will talk a little bit of who we are. I don't know if you know us, but we are a research group in Brazil called Gaia, and we live in the açaí land. I don't know if everybody knows what is açaí. It's a delicious food. So this is Professor Rinaldo and me, Bruno. We are researchers in UFRA. This is not our university that have 70 years. And this is Belém, our city, my land, and Professor Rinaldo was born in Ceará, other state. And this is this is our group, the Gaia, where we study about livestock, health and reproduction of ruminants, especially bovine and buffalo. This is the researchers, our scientific team in Gaia. Probably you know some of this, like Domenico Vecchio and others. Quickly, just for a reflection, here we are a great group where we have more than 250 undergraduates. We exist since 2003, so we have almost 20 years in Gaia. Into the Gaia, we have a unity of research called Bubali. Is a center of studying in buffaloes inside the UFRA, the University of Amazon. And here in this unity, we can study about buffalo, about health, reproduction, management, everything about buffalo. Some of nutrition, and this is an example of a study that we did here in our unity of research. Topographic laparoscopy for buffaloes in the quadrupedal position. So it's only an example. Other arm of our group is a Repro Amazon, is a program of post-graduation in reproduction. And inside of Repro Amazon, we study about the reproduction of buffaloes too. So let's talk a little bit of buffalo in Brazil. Victoria, you can hear me okay about audio and video?
Yes, it's okay. It's all things it's okay. Audio and video.
Perfect. So talking about the buffalo, this is the map of probably all of you know the herds of buffalo in the world. And in Brazil, we can find about a herd about 1.5 million of buffalo. So we can a big herd when we think the world. And here in Brazil, you can find very kind of creations, This is a kind of traditional creation, a very low technification. You can see the milking and the transport of milk, so basic condition. But on the other hand, we can found also farms with a high level of technology. So as you know, Brazil is a big country and different realities when we compare the regions. And now, specifically, we can begin to talk about health and pathologies of the buffalo calf. That's the name of our presentation. So it's impossible to talk about calf health without we talk about dam health, about the mother health. So we need to think about it as a complex. The calf is not an individual isolated in the farm. There's a group formed by the dam and the calf. And in Brazil, just one word that we think, I don't know that this word exists in your countries, but in Brazil we have the rusticity. That's a word, it's a concept that the buffalo does not disease, that there's no need to food because he's a strong animal and don't need any kind of management. So in Brazil, we need to fight against this term, rusticity, because it's so negative for the creation of buffalo here in Brazil. We need to show the care, must health, must vaccines, must medicine needs technology to development of the buffalo creation. So to help us to think the health of the dam of this mother that will give us a calf, we need to think about the condition score, about the management, about the conditions, environmental conditions of nutrition, physiological of parturition, and the fetal static that we will find around the parturition. This is the picture of our book that was published in 2020, 2 years ago. It's veterinary perinatology. As I'm talking, we need to observe about the period around the parturition, because in Brazil we have some problems of staff in the farms. The people who handling with buffalo don't know exactly what's the moment of the parturition. If the buffalo needs some kind of help. So this is the first thing that we need to observe in the farm, the moment of parturition. So we can make a little timeline about the moments of parturition, just to remember, obviously that most of you know about it, but didactically, we can divide the parturition into 3 stages. The first step or first stage, that the moment of the smooth tissues can open the space through the path of the calf. The second stage is the moment that the calf effectively pass through the smooth tissues and get down to the ground. And the third stage, when the tissue inside the uterus can get out with the contractions of the uterus. So we need to observe these three stages to understand if that buffalo, that dam, that mother needs some help. Other observation that we need to find around the mother, it's not about only the parturition, but other things around the possible health of this future calf. For example, we have some of disease, some of microorganisms that can compromise this gestation, that can cause fetal loss or pregnancy loss. So we can observe embryonic death, fetal mummification, fetal maceration caused by brucellosis, leptospirosis, IBR, BVD, neosporosis, Campylobacter, Trichomonas. And around the parturition, as we will discuss, we have problems of fetal dystocia, vaginal prolapse, retained fetal membranes. And after the parturition, we can observe metritis and endometritis. So talking a little bit about dystocia, the factor of most associated with a stillborn or weak and least markable calf. Most of 90% of stillborn calves are actually alive at the start of calving, but die during calving. So it's an interesting number that we need to think, that the most of calves born alive. So we can lose this calf about this after this parturition. So it's a little schedule just to show the incidence of dystocia around the world. In Pakistan, we can observe 2% of dystocia. In India, 4 to 12%. In Bangladesh, 10%. And in Brazil, the data we observe less than 2% of dystocia. It's a low number when comparing the world. So dystocia is lower than the other problems of reproduction, like repetition of estrus, anestrus, genital prolapses, and abortions. And what we need to do? What to do when the calf is born? After this born, what we need to do to help this calf that make him alive? What we can do for him? So we use the APGAR score. That's a score adapted from the human newborn, that we can give a score for this calf. How can I do this? How can we do this? We give numbers for the different characteristics of this calf. So head reactions of this newborn, we can give a score, 0, 1, or 2. Reflexes, we can give a note, 0, 1, or 2. Breath, mucosal staining, and after these scores, we can give a final number, and this final number will give us a class of this newborn, of this calf. So we need to find a good or excellent calf between 7 and 8 of score that show us a healthy and asphyxia-free calf. This is the excellent picture that we can do in the farm. Não passou ainda. Volta e passa de novo. Passa. Aqui não passa. Aqui agora, okay. Now I get it. So we did a timeline about the some of studies that Gaia did with health of buffalo, dam and calf. So in 2005 and 2009, we studied about leptospirosis, brucellosis, and leptospirosis, and published some of this data. And what we observed, the most of these numbers of these researchers was did in Gaia, and we observed the different incidences of diseases, of reproductive diseases. So around 4% of Brucella, Neospora with a high incidence, leptospirosis with a high incidence too, Trichomonas with no incidences, Campylobacter very low incidence, and herpes virus with a high incidence, and Pestis virus with a medium incidence. Most of these results are produced by Gaia. And with what the condition is not ideal of in Italian as shared with our friend Domenico Vecchio, che condizione poco ideale we have. So this kind of material, it's not ideal for do any kind of laboratorial exam. And this kind of situation is better when we have a integral fetus. We can examine it and collect the material for kind of diseases. How to ensure the health of buffalo? So we can observe some of steps that we can guide inside the farm. So in pre and post conception care, or in the moment of conception in the farm, we need to observe this sanitary status, mortality, do the diagnosis of pregnancy in the farm, do appropriate handling of animals, and of course offer the good nutrition. And the second step, we care during the pregnancy. So in the other moment after the conception, we need to monitoring this pregnancy after the diagnosis to observe if we will have any kind of problem with this gestation. Observe early diagnosis of diseases. It's important to make the diagnosis of reproductive diseases, and guarantee the good quality nutrition and food. In the third step, in the other moment, guarantee the care in the peripartum, transition, and puerperium period. So we suggest to the farm maintain a kind of space to this mother, like a maternity, monitoring of births, early diagnosis of diseases, and the monitoring the ovarian function. And at the last, care during the lactation, mainly because the mastitis, the problems of mastitis. Ahead in our timeline, in 2012, we get a research about the metabolic profiles in dairy buffaloes, measuring some kind of metabolic status of cholesterol, triglycerides, NIFA, glucoses. In 2014, we did other researchers about the health of calves. So with bacteria and parasites and diarrhea of calves and diagnosis of cryptosporidium in calves, where we see Eimeria, Klebsiella, and Salmonella in some of animals that we studied in Brazil. So only to show our paper, where we observed 24% of cryptosporidium. Sorry, 2% of cryptosporidium. It's a low incidence comparing the other results that we have in literature, mainly in Italy, as 50%, and other researchers with 9% or 24%. And in other work that we did that we observe in literature with cryptosporidium, talking about the main treatment for this disease, that toltrazuril. So this graph show you the mortality of the calves, the buffalo calves, and what I would like to you observe that the first 30 days, 0 to 30 days, we have 50% of the deaths in the calves. So this is the critical period of health of our calf. So what we observe in the first 90 days of life, we have 76% of deaths in of these calves. So this is a period that we must to see with care of these calves in the farm. And when we think only in the 30 days of life, look what we observe. In the first 3 days, we have 26% of deaths. In the first 10 days, we have 35% of deaths. In the first 20 days of life, we have 52% of deaths. And in the 30 days of life, we have same 100% of the observed. So this work adapted from our friend Domenico, we observed the isolation frequency of some of the microorganisms, but I would like to focus in Salmonella and Escherichia coli that have the most frequency of the isolated diagnosis in this work. And the other thing that we must to observe, that the most of the diseases, most of the problems normally are caused but more than one agent. As we observed, only around 10% of these of these occurrences were caused only by one agent. The most of 80% of the occurrence were caused by more than one agent. I had a Gaia study about the enteral fluidotherapy and about the viroses that affect buffalo in 2016. This is our other publications, other works that we did. This is an image of our book showing about the fluidotherapy. So it's a schedule about the degrees of dehydration, where we observe the normal animal, without the degree of hydration, and when we saw below, and at the last, we observed the animal in shock. So this is the work that we did about the enteral fluidotherapy in buffalo here in our university. Administrating enter-aqueous solution to make the hydration of these calves. This is other pictures of our work with help of Professor José Dantas Ribeiro Filho of the University of Viçosa in the state of Minas Gerais. It's a great partner of our group. In 2019, other works with Salmonella in Paracopteria and work with serum biochemical profile in buffalo calves that we did here in Gaia. So this is the paper of Cryptosporidium, Paracopteria, that we published in Acta Scientific Veterinary Science. And this is a incidence of Toxocara and the Eimeria in some calves that we observe. These two parasites, Toxocara and Eimeria, are the most prevalent and important of the loss of calves here in Brazil. So in 2020, we published our book about perinatology, veterinary perinatology, when we trade about this, all of these papers that we talk now, and we create a project inside the Gaia called Vitello Sano. I don't know in Italian if it is correct, but sorry if don't.
Yes,
can understand.
It's correct. It's the right term in Italian.
This is a little remember to eat Italy. So in this program, in this project, we create many steps, so many steps to observe the health of this cow before the birth and after the birth. We can talk also about the colostrum, but Dr. Maria trade about this. So we work with colostrum too. So we just talk one thing. It's important. That's a new concept about the colostrum, that the good condition to administrate colostrum is about 2 hours of life. it's important we can fix this. We can remember this information. Now the modern concept of colostrum trades about 2 hours of life to give the first colostrum, because it shows the importance of this colostrum in the curve of immunoglobulins. So why we talk about 2 hours? Because these 2 hours is almost like the physiological time. We can observe that the postpartum calves can milking after 1 or 1 hour and a half. So we believe that 2 hours is the ideal for the administration of colostrum. This is the same concept that Maria talks about, the analysis of the colostrum, analyzing with a spectral photometer of bricks, analyzing the degree of bricks. This is some pictures of our work administrating colostrum from colostrum bags or not to these calves inside the project Vitello Sano. And this is the picture when the colostrum was administered by the wrong way. When you don't use the colostrum by the right form, this milk can stay in rumen and do this kind of cheese, this kind of ricotta, this kind of wool of cheese that not good for this cow. The milk must go to abomasum, and this is the wrong way to do this. You need to mostra aquela imagem do pescoço ali do bezerro, Paulo. We need to get this form to administrate the milk for the cow, preferentially. So this is other work of our group, Gaia, with passive immunity transfer in water buffalo, when we show the IgG curves of them and the calf around the first 3 days of life. And the electrophoretic curves of these proteins. And we can, and this work can show that we estimate the IgG with protein, total protein of the blood. So we did a relationship between the protein and the IgG in the blood. So we can observe the regression, a positive regression, a linear regression, when we can protein, and this is estimated by and then the IgG is estimated by the protein with a high correlation. Ahead, recently, we finalized a study of hematology in buffalo dams and buffalo calves, with a great study of more than 2 years.
Sorry, Bruno. Bruno.
Hello. Oi.
Hello. Do you have a lot of slide to show. Just to remember you the time, because we have.
Okay, we will conclude, Victoria.
Okay.
So this is some problems that we observed in buffalo: omphallopathies, abscesses. We can conclude some kind of creation, cross circling when we have very so much animals in the same space, or animals created in the mood. We observed some problems of infections, umbilical infections. So this is the right way to treat the umbilical cord with iodo. And just to reflection, to vaccinate or to not vaccinate our buffaloes. Obviously, we need to use vaccine. Vaccine, yes. But we find some farms with this condition of management. We need to do the possible to guarantee the health of our cows. We would like to thank you for the organization, for this space, for this moment of discussion. This is some photos of our students and partners and of our group. Thank you, Victoria. Thank you, IBF and CREA for this space.
Thank you, Bruno. Thank you to Bruno Monteiro. Thank you also to Professor Rinaldo Viana for this presentation and for the information that you gave us. So I remember the people that can write their question in the chat. So Antonella can collect, and so we can give you the response after this last presentation that will be done by Domenico Vecchio, that is graduate in veterinary medicine. He has a PhD in animal breeding, and sorry, I think that it's better without this. I start again. The next speaker is Dr. Domenico Vecchio, graduated in veterinary medicine, PhD in animal breeding, and he has specialization in animal nutrition and a postdoc fellowship at University of Naples, and also a fellowship in animal reproduction at Universidade de São Paulo in the Department of Animal Reproduction in Brazil. Was also enabled as associate professor in animal science and associate professor in surgical, clinical, and veterinary reproduction. At present, he works as head of the Department of Animal Science and Welfare at Istituto Zooprofilattico del Mezzogiorno, that is the Institute of Prophylaxis in Italy, and where is the Italian National Reference Center for hygiene technology of water buffalo farming and production. He is also technical advisor for the buffalo species in European Union Reference Center for the welfare of ruminants and equines, and is also member of our International Buffalo Federation. Is part also of the organizing committee of this webinar courses. So thank you also to Domenico Vecchio to participate in this section, and I give you the floor.
Thank you, Victoria, and thank you for all friends that participate at this meeting today. Well, Today we try to talk about our work on buffalo welfare, and in particular on calves welfare. And we talk about an integrated system called the classifier, in particular about an aspect of this system, the evaluation of animal welfare in buffalo farm by risk assessment methodology. You can see the second slide.
Not yet, Domenico.
Just a moment. Okay.
Okay, Domenico,
Okay.
you can see the other slide.
In the next 30 minutes, we will try to make some consideration about on the following points, referring to the breeding of the calves from birth to weaning. The challenge of the health sector and the agri-food industry have been made more complex in the last year. Some aspects as animal welfare, the consumption drug, biosafety, as well as the health risk associated with them, are becoming increasingly interconnected, thus necessitating an integrated approach. In this framework, our center and the Italian Ministry of Health has worked to a series of innovations to permanently change the aspect of animal health. Therefore, the challenge of the future is to start a process of implementation and development of this innovation. Our work is try to conjugate this force that just apparently are in contrast. The goal is to obtain the economical sustainability of the farm by the production of food safety in respect of the environment and animal welfare. This is possible if we valorize the level of animal welfare and sustainability as intrinsic value of the product. Try to harmonize these elements. Animal welfare to have a more efficient physiological response to the pathologies by the maintenance of the immune system, as Bruno tell. Biosafety to reducing the risk of spreading pathologies. And as consequence of these two objectives, the reduction of the use of drugs, principally the antibiotic, so that we can reduce the antimicrobial resistance and the residual in food, has been repeated for the economic sustainability of the farm. In fact, animal welfare will have a greater meaning and could represent an added value to the quality product, becoming an opportunity to sustain the income of the breeders. Animal welfare thus become a guarantee of food security and quality. But the concept of quality is a dynamic concept. In Europe and Italy in particular, during the 40s, the consumer asked for access to food of animal origin, at the time scarcely available. In the 1617, in addition to access, the consumer asked that those food were safety. Today, our generation, beside asking for these two parameters, wants that food of animal origin will product in ethical and sustainable condition. What is the animal welfare? Many definitions are proposed to define the concept of welfare. They must include the emotive aspect and not only the healthy aspect of the animal. I think that this definition of the Broom is the most accurate and synthetic. Welfare is expressed by the adaptation capability of the animal to the environment in which it lives. This affirmation is very important because include in welfare definition two elements, animal and environment, and their interaction. express the level of welfare by the type of relationship within them. So when we want to evaluate the welfare, we must consider this concept: animal, environment, and their interaction. Not all animals are adapted for all environments, and not all environments are adapted for all animals. Animal welfare was born starting to the concept of 5 freedoms, reporting by Bramble report in 1965. The objective is try to guarantee the access of the animal to the 5 freedom: freedom from hunger, thirst, freedom from discomfort, freedom from pain, injuries, and disease, freedom to express normal behavior, and freedom for fear and distress. But what kind of animal welfare we have to get evaluate? For animal scientists, for example, welfare is synonymous of production. For clinical, it is synonymous of the health. Welfare may include all these aspects, but must be scientifically demonstrated to be conducive to the quality of animal life. We do not try to bend the concept of welfare to our needs, but we find the welfare aspect that can increase our income. In this image, we can see a theoretical reconstruction of curve among animal benefit and human benefit. If we start by the natural level of welfare, you can see the, yes, okay. If we start by the natural level of welfare with the intensive or semi-intensive breeding system, we can increase the level of animal welfare and livestock productivity. For example, to applying the correct and constant nutrition or the protection from predators or parasites. So the problem is not the intensification, but the level of intensification. When the intensification is balanced with animal exigence, structures, management quality, we obtain an optimization of the resource and income. Otherwise, when the intensification of the farm is exasperated, we obtain an unacceptable welfare level and a presence of problem in the farm that require a cost to be solved then. And in more times, an increase of the impact of the environment. So the ethical paradox occurs when the cost to cure an animal is lower than the cost to preventing disease. Some consideration. Change the breeding system and exposure scenarios, for example, passing from an extensive system to a semi-intensive system or intensive one, does not eliminate the hazard, but replace them with other hazards and their risk. It is essential to remember that the more technological system require more skilled and specialized workers to be managed, or we could have a worsening of the result. How to measure the animal welfare level? Good question. As indicated by the European Food Safety Authority, the methodology to be used is the risk assessment to product a tool, objective tool, conform to what is provided by the current legislation, used by properly trained veterinarians, implementation times compatible with your business needs, and the return has a measurable value of the total welfare level and level for each breeding area. It is useful for the technician and the breeder to identify the critical point and to solve them. The scientific basis of the protocol are represented by European legislation, European Food Safety Authority recommendation, bibliography, welfare quality project, in particular for the animal-based measures. So, when we want to evaluate the condition of animal welfare, we must simultaneously evaluate different aspects: the health, behavior, and emotional state of the animal. The identification of a target population and its exposure scenarios is a prerequisite for identifying hazard in macro areas. By identifying the phases of the breeding system, we have the ability to identify animal, environment, and their interaction. Identifying the exhibition scenarios is very important. Different exposure scenarios, intensive system versus extensive or semi-intensive system, correspond to different hazards, and therefore this factor must be considered in order to focus energies on the most important mitigation action. After the identification of target population, the process as previously described includes two groups of elements. On the one hand, the input is represented by the environment, where we identify the hazard that can affect the animal welfare. The risk represents measures not based on animal. We can observe this element without observation of animal. For example, weaning protocol, climate condition, space availability. On the other hand, the output is represented by the effect expressed by the animal in response to the environment. The effect is measured by animal-based measures, ABM. The ABM are divided into two groups, direct or indirect ABM. Direct ABM is that we observe on the animal, for example, percentage of thin animal, thin calves, and indirect ABM that we observe on the register of the farm, like annual incidence of calf mortality, for example. We have identified three macro areas, two for the input and one for the output. In the first two macro areas are collected the hazard input and their threshold level. And the IBM is connected to the output with their threshold level. So for each item, we have identified the threshold level in which the occurrence of hazard may be cause three possible conditions. Non-stress condition or normal condition is guaranteed in respect of the 5 freedom for the whole population. Eustress condition, improvement of welfare condition, and the distress condition, worsening of welfare condition. These levels are individuated by the bibliography and by the expert opinion activity. By an expert opinion elicitation through the correlation between the hazard and the possible adverse effect for each level of each hazard or item, the weight of the total level of welfare were established. During the development of the checklist, we have done this step. On the CREA algorithm definition, the weight of the risk assessment and the adverse effect is 50-50. So input, represented by hazard identification and risk assessment, have a weight of 15%, and manifestation of an adverse effect on the animal have a weight of 15%. All these information were used to formulate an algorithm that can be used to produce a numeric objective value. Furthermore, the report showed the critical points that are eventually present for each item for each macro area. With this system, the technician and the breeder can locate the critical point and try to realize the improvement of the farm condition. Well, first area of input, farm management and personnel. Farm management is essential for animal welfare and consists in all the operation involving stock person. Although the structural feature of a farm may at first glance appear to be of a greater importance in terms of effect on animal welfare, The latter is actually more influenced by day-to-day management of the main routine activities performed by the person. Action performed by farmers, for example, feed preparation and tending of resting area, can even ensure a state of welfare and facility that are not very suitable, or, on the contrary, may create case of suffering in modern and cutting-edge facilities. In order to develop a positive relationship between human and animal, this should be appropriate careful handling for an early age. The relationship man-animal is essential for animal welfare. Negative behaviors such as abrupt, aggressive, or violent action cause fear and therefore stress in buffalo cows. It is important for the personnel to maintain a constant work routine, treating the animal without rushing and in a calm manner. Stock person should receive training in animal management methods and animal welfare. So you can see the two possibilities of the answer at the question. Number of inspection visit of animals. All housed calves must be inspected by the owners or the person responsible for the animals at least twice daily, and the calves kept outside must be inspected at least once daily. Any calf which appears to be ill or injured must be treated appropriately without delay, and veterinary advice must be obtained as soon as possible for any calf which is not responding to the stock keeper's care. Where necessary, sick or injured calf must be isolated in adequate accommodation with dry and comfortable bedding. Colostrum administration. As told by Maria and Bruno, each calf must receive a buffalo colostrum as soon as possible after its birth, and in any case within the first 6 hours of life. Since the calf is born almost devoid of maternal antibody coverage, the transfer of passive immunity must necessarily take place through the intake of colostrum in adequate quantities and quality within the first 6 hours of delivery. All calves must be provided with an appropriate diet adapted to their age, weight, and behavioral and physiological needs. To promote good health and welfare, all calves must be fed at least twice a day. Where calves are housed in group and not fed ad libitum or by an automatic feeding system, each calf must have access to the food at the same time as the other in the group. Housing pen. Housing pen equipment and utilities used for calf must be properly cleaned and disinfected to prevent cross-infection and the build-up of disease-carrying organisms. Feces, urine, and uneaten or split food must be removed as often as necessary to minimize smell and avoid attaching flies or rodents. Clean, dry, and well-managed housing at the bedding room with replacement frequent of use of material. Analogous condition in a multiple box and as individual pen. Unacceptable condition. The difference in the case of clean grating used as the cubital area, the evaluation will be at most intermediate for the reducing of comfort of the animal. It is considered adequate, fire cleaning, and sufficient managed housing, and or litter areas and or clean grid. This is very insufficient condition. It is considered inadequate environment for housing and bending that are dirty, unmanaged, and harmful to animals. Second area of input, facilities and equipment. Just like management and environmental hygiene, farming facilities and equipment also represent an animal welfare hazard. For this reason, many works, research projects, recommendation of scientific opinion link animal welfare assessment to the suitability of ruminant housing. Buffalo should be able to interact with one others and the show pattern of behavioral aimed to social structure maintains, regardless of the farming system used. Animals not kept in buildings shall, where necessary as possibly, be given protection from adverse weather conditions, predators, and risk to their health. Material used for the construction of calf accommodation, and in particular a box and equipment with which calves may come into contact, must not be harmful to the calves and must be capable of being thoroughly cleaned and disinfected. Animal housing and attachment device must be constructed and maintained in such a way that there are no sharp edge or projection likely to cause injuries to the animal. Litter for calf less than 2 weeks of age. This is a cogent measure in Europe. A lying area should be available, which consists of a floor covered by rubber mats, straw, or other suitable soft bedding in order to ensure comfort and reduce the risk of injuries. Floor must be smooth but not slippery, so as to prevent injury to the calf, and so designed as not to cause injuries or suffering to calves standing or lying on them. They must be suitable for the size and weight of the calf and from rigid, even, and stable surface. The lying area must be comfortable, clean, and adequately drained, and must not adversely affect the calf. Appropriate binding must be provided for all calves less than 2 weeks old. Obviously, the use of litter is always strongly recommended, but is mandatory up to 2 weeks of life of the calf. Obviously, this item apply only on the intensive or semi-intensive system, not to pasture. A representation of a good condition or insufficient condition for the litter. Calves should benefit from an environment corresponding to their needs as a herd living species. For the reason, they should be reared in group. Calves, both groups and an individual pen, should have sufficient space for exercise, for contact with other buffalo, and for normal movement when standing up or lying down. No calf shall be confined in an individual pen after the age of 90 days for buffalo and 8 weeks for the cow, unless a veterinarian certifies that it is health or behavior requires it to be isolated in order to receive treatment. Okay? The width of animal individual pen shall be at last equal to the height of the calf at the litter, measured in a standing position, and the length shall be at last equal to the body length of the calf, measured from the tip of the nose to the caudal edge of the tuberosity multiplied by 1.1. This provision do not apply to calf kept with the mother for lactation purpose. Possibility of contact with other calves. Most farmed animals housed with them during milk feeding period, but social isolation of calves is a common practice in dairy production. Individual pen for calf must not have a solid wall, but a perforated wall, which allow the calves to have a direct visual and tactile contact. The provision do not apply to calf kept with the mother for lactation purpose. Photos of the good condition on the left and sufficient condition on the right. The front of the adjacent feeding trough is not to be considered as contact between calves. Same evaluation for the surface of multiple pen. For cows kept in group, the measure is to 1.5 square meter for each calf of a live weight of less than 150 kilograms, at 1.7 square meter for each calf of a live weight of 150 kilograms or more, but less than 220 kilograms, and 1.8 square meter for each calf of a live weight of 220 kilograms or more. And finally, the output, the macro area of animal-based measure. Up to this moment, risk to animal welfare for dairy herd in loose housing have been assessed through the analysis of management, input, and facilities. However, an animal welfare depends on how well it is able to adapt to the environment. For a correct evaluation, in addition to analysis of the housing area, it is also necessary to evaluate the effect that this have on the animals. I repeat, animals, environment, and their interaction. Dead animals in the barn are the consequence not only of extremely serious health problems, but also of a poor animal welfare condition. We chose to assess the percentage of calves that died in a barn within a year due to natural or accidental causes, or as a result of euthanasia or urgent slaughter, considering this event as the ultimate expression of negative welfare and disease management condition. The pertinent data shall be provided by the farmer himself or taken from a farm record. Is an indirect ABM. Is considered adequate a mortality between 5 and 10% of the calves. This budding in calves is allowed within the first 3 weeks of life. Tail ducking in cattle is forbidden, and in buffalo too, unless for certified and properly recording therapeutic purpose. The practices referred to this point are carried out must be performed under veterinary supervision. The ABM criteria represent only some of the most representative that can be taken into consideration, to which they can be added, for example, nutrition status of calf, percentage of thin animal body condition score, percentage of dirty calves, percentage of calf within nasal discharge, percentage of calf with diarrhea, as Bruno presented in the program, in the procedure for the correct management of the health, the calf health. Take-home message. In managing the aspect related to the farm, and in particular to calves, some specific aspect of the species must be kept in check. Reproductive seasonality and consequent concentration of the birds over a period of the year, with an increase in the demand of labor dedicated to very delicate and time-consuming tasks, the calves. Concentration of calf, an increase in the density of occupation of often undersized structure with poor capacity for biocompartmentation and the possibility of spreading disease. Insufficient training of staff for calf management, for example, a correctly use of automatic system of weaning machine, it is necessary to train the staff, the stock person, in order to recognize any critical issue and remedy them. A greater use of technology implies a more qualified and valued stock person. Changing the exhibition scenario, some hazards are replaced by other hazards with relative risk. This checklist constituted an impartial, reproducible, functional instrument based on risk analysis. It enabled a numerical animal welfare index to be assigned to each farm, and through the data collected in each area to provide veterinarians and breeders with tools for improving farm management and structures while respecting the farm sustainability. The use of this tool will yield a uniform assessment on the level of the welfare buffalo farm, obviously comprehending the lactation step, dry period step, AFER step, and is preparatory to the development of a trademark for animal welfare, for example. The development and implementation of method and tool to support sustainable livestock may represent a know-how exportable also in very different systems. The method is unique. What change conforming different conditions are the hazard and the ABM. For example, use of the pasture. Well, the system is a dynamic system and it's possible to insert modification to obtain an increase of functional conforming the statistical analysis of the result. Collaboration is the way. So, very thanks for the organizing committee to the possibility to talk about our work. I want to thank you for the attention with this verse. Walker does not have a path, the way is made by walking. And we are here to work with all people who want to do it constructively. Thank you so much. Our center is open for collaboration and is your home too.
Thank you. Thank you, Domenico. So I hope that this first webinar has been interest for you. So we have tried to give some information regarding the first the first day, the first period of life of the buffalo calves, and thank you, Maria, for the aspect to take in consideration the aspect regarding the feeding, the nutrition, the importance of the colostrum, the importance of how to give the colostrum to the animal, and also thank you the Professor Rinaldo Viana and Professor Bruno Monteiro for the aspect regarding the pathology, taking also in consideration, they have taken in consideration the importance of the health of the mother, because is important to have an healthy calf, to have also an healthy cow. The health of the mother is also important, and to give us una panoramica, come si dice, scusate? An overview regarding the most frequent pathology in buffalo calves relating to bacterial, viral, and also some parasites that they found in the calves. And thank you also to Domenico to this overview on the welfare and the new model that we are in Europe, we are utilized for to measure the welfare in the farm, and for the overview that it gives us to regarding the welfare of the calves. So what the European legislation and also Italian law established regarding the respect of welfare of the young animals. So I thanks again all of you. There is some I sorry, we have unfortunately not a lot of time to the question and answer section, but just we can have some question, and maybe if there are some other question, you can maybe write to International Buffalo Federation email address, and we try to respond after to all of you. We can have the time for some question. Antonella, tu hai preso chi si è prenotato prima? Hai preso l'ordine delle prenotazioni? No. No, ce ne ho due. Ok, I saw some hands stand. Amarpret Singh Panu, do you want to ask something?
Yeah, I have one question to Maria, Dr. Maria.
Maria?
It's regarding the, Maria. Question is, at what age we can start giving supplements like vitamins and minerals to the buffalo calf? At what age?
The supplement, sorry, the supplement. You are talking about when we can give the supplements to buffalo calves?
Yes. At what age of calf?
Maria?
Either 1 week, 2 weeks. Yeah.
Maria?
Sì.
Sei connessa?
Yeah. I'm not sure to understand. Can you repeat, please?
At what age we can start giving supplements like vitamins and minerals to the buffalo calf? At what age?
A che età si possono dare le supplementazioni con le vitamine e i minerali ai buffalo, ai calves?
Supplementation, what do you mean?
Vitamine e minerali, ha detto.
Fa riferimento alle vitamine B che citavi per la...
Okay. I told you about the necessity to breed buffalo calves with food that are integrated. So it's better if we can give mineral and vitamins integration with milk, of course. So it's necessary to use vitamin and mineral from the first day of life. About the vitamin of B group, you can see that the importance of this vitamin is great around the end of the weaning, and we can see the pen.
Coin sta da prima. È quello che ti ho detto a te.
Can I go on? Okay. You can see problems, healthy problems, and a particular disease that we call PEM is a problem that you can see at the end of the weaning, and in particular after weaning. So if you use a milk with a high level of B1, it's perfect. But also it's good to use a solid food with a high level of B1 vitamin.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, there is a Cohen that want to ask a question. Cohen?
Yes, here I am. I've got several questions. One is first over the cholesterol. There is said that it's only for 6 hours. After how many days is the buffalo milk ready for production? So when is it ready for human consumption or to make cheese?
Yes. Normally we use colostrum step for the buffalo for the calf from 5 days. Normally the milk is useful for the milk production and mozzarella cheese after 10 days after parturition.
Okay. Then another question is, Bruno mentioned several diseases. Of course, we all know that brucellosis is contagious and will spread between the animals as soon as the bull has it. Which one of the others are also contagious? And what are the signs can you see from the outside or an animal has one of these diseases? Yeah, the physical differences on them.
The question is from Bruno, right?
Yes.
Well, Bruno or Domenico, they're both veterinarians, so they both can answer the question probably.
Okay. Well, the problem is the low incidence that Bruno presents, depending from the country and the sanitary condition of the country. Obviously, if you have an high density of the animal and the high concentration of animal and farm in a low, in a small areas, you can have the pathologies. You can have a high definition of the infectious disease for the buffalo too. For example, when we talk about biosecurity and the diffusion of pathologies, we must to consider 3 elements: the bacterium, in the case of brucellosis, the animals, the sensitivity of the animals, and the environment. So the square is very, very different comparing different country because we have a different condition. Animal is sensitive for the buffalo is sensitive for the brucellosis, tuberculosis too, or salmonellosis, like a bovine. Have not a more resistant condition. So more time, this aspect is connected more with the density of the animal and the presence of the microorganism that not a different in genetic resistance for the animal Okay. In the reproduction, normally connected with the mortality of calves or the abortion, we have an high incidence, for example, of the salmonellosis 2, Campylobacter, EBR, herpes virus, chlamydia. Chlamydia is very present in Italy breeding system because we have an high density. Normally, in Brazil, we have 1 animal for 1 hectare, more or less. Here we have 4, normally 10 square meter for each animal. So that's very high density. And this condition represent a factor of facilities for diffusion of some pathologies, principally that are connected with the presence of the microorganism in some material like feces or urine, or possibility of the sexual diffusion in animals with the natural mode, for example.
Okay. Then a practical question. I'm trying to figure out or there's any ultrasound equipment that is not expensive that we as farmers can buy. Does anybody have any experience with ultrasound equipment in buffaloes and which one works the best? And it's also price technical or not, because there are, of course, there are machines from $1,000 to $15,000, $20,000. But is there any machines in the lower range that can be used by farmers and that function well?
Non ho capito. No.
Depending from the country, normally the cost of the echographers or the other apply is very different from some country.
But are there any brands that are very good with, that function very well with buffaloes? Because as soon as you talk to these people and you say it's for buffaloes, they all back up because they have very little to none experience with buffaloes with this with these equipments.
No, at the moment the experience with buffalo is the same that in cow. For the old aspect of reproduction, nutrition, depending on the know-how of the operator or the veterinarians. Obviously, for example, in our country, we have the 96% of the buffalo of Europe buffalo. So the people that work here with buffalo have the same level of the information of the application that have other veterinarians that work with cow in other area of the world, but is not a problem of the buffalo or cow. It's problem of the expertise on the animal, on the species.
Okay, I agree with Domenico. The equipment is the same of the bovine. It's just the experience of the operator of the veterinarian. So we have other people that would ask something. There is Yuri Meyer. Yuri, are you?
Yes, hello, can you hear me?
Yuri, yes.
Yeah, it's not a question, it's just, hello, Victoria, first of all, and hello, everyone. I just want to thank you for this. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I just want to thank you for this webinar to the International Buffalo Federation. In behalf of my family, Mariana da Silva, and my dad, Horacio Mayer, we are small producers in the northeast of Argentina. And this kind of webinar is very interesting for us, that we are buffalo lovers, and we're always interested to learn from the very best experts as here. So I just want to extend my thank you to my family.
Ze zegt er is bijna geen tijd en dan gaat hij zitten lopen bedanken.
Yuri, are you?
Yeah,
Yuri?
can you hear me?
Yeah, yes. C'era qualcuno che parlava spagnolo? Some people talking in Spanish. Maybe I had some.
No, I didn't.
No, okay.
I just want to thank you.
Thank you, Yuri. Yes, we are. Thank you very much. We hope that also the other seminar could be interested for you and for all people that works with buffaloes.
Of course, we will. Thank you.
There is Betty Rosales that wants to.
Hi, I'm from Tuban. Yeah, thank you very much for the Venezuelan community buffalo. My question is for Bruno, because trichomonas is usually a lower pathogen in buffalo. Do you have some factors associated with it?
Bruno, you have to open the microphone, or Rinaldo, so sorry.
I can listen.
The microphone.
Okay.
Non ce l'ho qua.
Repeat, please. Hello.
Hello, yeah.
Oh, Victoria. Can you repeat?
Betty, please, can you repeat the question?
Don't worry, that's okay. I have a question about the trichomonas in the buffalo, because it's so lower in a lot of studies. And if you have some experience for the factors associated with it in trichomonas in buffalo.
Data with trichomonas in buffalo.
Yes.
We observed low occurrence. I don't remember in exactly about around 0. I don't. Quanto que é trichomonas?
Zero, really. Zero.
Yeah. Yes.
You have some factor associated with it.
A gente tem poucos estudos no Brasil.
Yeah, we have little bit studies about it. In our region here in Pará, we have so many problems with leptospirosis and brucellosis, but we don't have many studies about it. I can't say that does not exist, but we have few works, and I can't say that there's no exist trichomonas. This is the data we have, but I don't know. I can't say that it's the total of Brazil. I'm not able to do this.
Thank you very much. Yeah, because it's normal this a few works for trichomonas,
yes.
Campylobacter, and for buffalo.
There's no diagnosis here. There's no these diseases are not studied in our region.
It's so different, for example, leptospira, brucellosis, and neospora. For example, neospora here in Venezuela, when I make serology, it's usually the high titles in the farms, but the people don't understand about what is the relation between abortums or lost pregnancy with neospora, because a lot of animals have titers for neospora, and sometimes they have problems, but sometimes no. And the clinicals, I think,
in Brazil
don't understand about the neospora component in the reproduction in the farm, no? But I think it's a problem. For just now, I use the new kit for ELISA, multi-space and competitive ELISA. I think it's possible see a lower difference between indirect ELISA and competitive ELISA, and the comportment in the farm. No, it's so important for the diagnosis in the farms.
Another aspect that is very interesting and important is the type of diagnosis. If you work on the serum of the animal, so on the antibody, you have very more higher number of positive animals. But if you work on the necropsia, for example, on fetal carcass, and try to isolate, to evidence the neospora or toxoplasma, for example, you have a good result just on PCR, for example. And so the percentage and the prevalence change totally if we work on the different system of diagnosis. For example, in our work in 6 years, we have, I think that more than 10% of the animals that are positive for the antibody for neospora, but just the presence of neospora in fetus is lower than 2% of the animal.
Yes, I understand. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think that there is, I don't see other question, other people that wants to talk, right? Just let me check. Okay. Okay, so I think we can close this section. I give the floor to Dr. Professor Borghese to conclude and conclude this section. I thanks again all the speakers, all of you that I hope that you will participate in the other seminar webinar, and stay tuned on our social medium. So I give the.
Okay, I remember that I started to study the buffalo calves 50 years ago in this institute. At the time, the goal was to reduce the calves' mortality to 0. And at the time, I understood that it was possible, respecting the requirement of the calves, not only the feed requirements as energy and the protein and so on, not only the requirement of to be free from the pathologies, but the welfare requirements in general. So I thank the speakers that achieve the answer to this question. And I like to thank also all the people who participated to this webinar. Goodbye.